Yeah, breaking news. Abane said the president of the land, President John Mahama, Bema, Timemufo Kasa, Ote, Timemufo Ka, Otie, na Osia Oyo. Ashe, the Minister of Finance, say, nurses a called the Mona no, unti obiaka. Akatuya say, men am de buy you, Yaman am de buy you, but no holding was it there be, and Yania or party no. And ya dear President Ashe say, Yentuya obiaka. But Jamaica say na no nurses echo demonstration. Ama nurse nearby ba de kura edidi the Minister of Finance, Minister of Health atem. But you tiasema abaya nankasa e kan abra unya opportunity on that particular demonstration. Ekatia Minister of Health.
What school no drama? All about Itakai, problem Itakando. Me still to what school no drama came. Or it's my movie. That did not collaborate. Lewen near Jacoa, or a very masterpiece. Just a big blow baby.
Enti nurse nearby chese nana semi and say why adwuma yentu aneka. Enti unya opportunity nurse say Minister of Health or so ni mu a utwabo ne style bia bi. Etwa so ema nurse for kuo batten organ and ehya abaya ne say o mention the reason why NCC are punishing because we di minister no atem. Na ene Minister of Health nankasa ababa kan chese dabi cabinet ehia ama ban nankasa jetum say nurse ni bia organ and as obi o health sector yentu ya ne ka ne sika kama katuya kan bia na aban bitu ya ne ka. President John Mahama say wate we dey atem mo di mi odi amayo magiatum esan say enya me na mkofa bae enso magiatum say akatua na me de bema mo na Ghana no nipa bebre nim say NPP fo a ehye akire edi President John Mahama atemi ena ye group of people a omoma asa nkrofo adwuma omantua obi aka there was no clearance pacho minister edin chirimu ebai credit to 1957 Tinsima minister ekai.
When we took office as government, in the Ministry of Health, we inherited a situation where about 13,500 nurses and midwives had been recruited and posted without financial clearance, without any provision to pay them. In fact, the financial clearance with respect to the 13,500 nurses and midwives expired on 31st December 2024. What it means is that when a financial clearance is issued, you must necessarily migrate the health professionals onto the payroll before the expiration of the clearance for these people. This is a fact. And so we had two options as government. Whether to let all the 13,500 nurses and midwives go home whilst we look for the financial provision, we look for money. And issuing clearance is not just for issuing sake. Once you are issuing the clearance, you must be ready to pay them. And so the first option was to allow all of them to go home whilst we look at how we can get money to call them back. And so if you remember, it was a topical issue when we took office that we were going to sack some health professionals. So some of the associations even reacted to this. And the second option was to allow them to continue to work once we look at how we can get money to pay them. And I'm talking about 13,500 nurses and midwives. So as government, we chose the latter. Because we cannot allow the 13,500 people to go home and add on to the over 74,000 health professionals who have already been trained and they are at home. And to tell you the truth, I have never regretted that we chose the option of allowing them to work and finding ways to pay them. When we chose that option, we didn't go to sleep. This is what we have done. Out of about 13,500, as I speak to you, about 7,000 out of the 13,500 are being paid. They are on the payroll and they are being paid. Here, let me further explain that in actual fact, those that we have succeeded in putting them on the payroll are about 10,000. But out of the 10,000, 7,000 of them are being paid, and 3,000 though on the payroll, but they are not being paid. So you will hear situations like, yes, I am on the payroll, but I'm not being paid. That is why I'm giving you this explanation. So 7,000 are being paid. Ladies and gentlemen, issues of salaries, monuments, as a ministry, we must necessarily collaborate with the Ministry of Finance. We cannot do it alone. And so we had an outstanding of 6,500 nurses and midwives whilst we were taking steps to onboard all these people onto the payroll and get them paid. So don't forget, out of the 10,000, some 3,000 have not been paid, and about 3,500 have also not been put on the payroll at all. So making 6,500. Especially so when that was not the only difficult situation we inherited. So anytime you go to the Ministry of Finance, it is about putting another weight on the public pay.
Yes. And what you say, Minister of Health, eka yura kwa mita kando. What's problem? Enye ndisi abayi nekriti yo. There be NPP nekriti to ho. Omo employ these nurses without financial clearance. Enti NDC be tina kumya so January no. Now there was nothing there. Enti abayi had two scenarios. I had see a new money in Eddie. Ni enko pesi kasi na abayi employment. Anasi mama tina ni pesi kentu ya maka. Inti abayin being a reasonable abayin, he decided say, okay, Montana say, you may pay scale to Yamaka. Until he admits say, yeah, will be age over 10 months into an it's an error. Abayin jatun. But the president and the cabinet, Atanasi can say there be two biaka. If I show Mr. President, yeah, na wabona baso na wadana say. Na ebi a make obi beka so there be minister and can say baby to any biaka. If I show T and some abayin no put in place towards this particular issue. Minister nebe chechire.
As I speak to you now, that about 6,500, that will add up to the 7,000 already being paid, making 13,500. That's allowance. That's over 6,000. Cabinet has approved that with immediate effect, starting from November, the Minister for Finance must pay them. And I have in my hand the letter to that effect. And so these were the difficulties. I empathize with anybody who had to go through this painful situation. But it is important for Ghanaians to be taken along.
Exactly. And the president of the land and the cabinet, she say, sign depending on the entry of Maka, November, ya, 13th of October 2025. November, I think we have about 17 or 18 days to go. It's your biaka. We are nursing your mom called them health professionals. I ain't you buying way say or baby to your car. Me in the comment section. See run November now when you see car. Bra, as I fa the same be obi ani be catch that my way. yen kroko aban ni bi because omo and the country me ba cho so ye be man if you want to feel okay kakra me ba cho other way be link in the better description of this particular video ude unya bia what you see we are however you feel bia no mama sonte your 2 versions of it me pa cho we Europe you can use the European link or US and so use US for link and for order now the we are bra comment section na be kire ma de a we no onsa e kai e bia mo so your free app your design here all past questions of BC and SSC you know also app no di EduSolve Pasco o download we are here internet bia bia or they use it and so we use it however you feel no bra comment section na mama sonte Midini William Munufie amankona this is the debate with the Munufie but so you subscribe here and so take your time and subscribe for being na yen to ankomo no so me da ase.